Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of No Capes, the talk show where we talk about comics with other comics creators. Today, I have the wonderful Erica Schultz with me, and we're talking about I Hate Fairyland by Skottie Young. It's going to be a fun ride, and thank you, Erica, for joining us. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your work?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Erica Schultz. I am the writer and creator of Forgotten Home, which was just nominated for 5 Ringo Awards. I am also the writer and co-creator of M3 and creator of 12 Devils Dancing. I've written for Marvel and DC, and I've done some stuff for Image. I'm also an editor at Mad Cave Studios, and I am the writing instructor at the Kubert School.
Very cool. I'm actually looking at the Kubert School correspondence program at the moment. I've been eyeing it off, but the Australian dollar to American dollar translation at the moment, it's a little bit
Isn't so great.
it's a little bit expensive. And then there's shipping on top of that right now, like shipping to
Yeah.
America from Australia. Good. Not taking that long. I'm still waiting on a present from America that my friend sent me 9 weeks ago.
Yeah, I can't defend our postal service. I'm sorry.
Well, I know that most of the issues right now is because they send it all on passenger planes. And there's not a lot of passenger planes going anywhere. It's the
I think
same.
it's something like 70% or 75% down from this time last year in terms of travel.
Yeah, no,
So,
exactly. Even from here, like everything goes down to Melbourne or Sydney and then gets put on a plane from there. If it goes down to Melbourne, it's been taking an extra 2 weeks to leave than it has from Sydney. So even that. But once it does leave, it's not taking a lot of time to get through customs and get to places in the States, which is good.
well, I mean, there are online courses that you can take.
I have been looking
Um,
into those. I was doing a
there's basic drawing one and two and coloring and
I'm looking forward to the coloring one actually. I just backed that Render Wave Colorpedia that was on Kickstarter. So I'm
yeah.
eagerly awaiting my copy of that, and then I want to try to get involved in some of those online courses. I was just doing a social media and marketing course for 8 weeks, so I was like, that first.
Yeah, there's a an animation course that I need to finish. It's all pre-recorded.
Oh, cool.
So it's teaching some more because I've done animation, but it's teaching some different techniques, and I'm like halfway through it. I'm like, I really need to sit down and finish that up.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean completely. There's the Clip Studio Paint course that somebody made a little
Hmm.
while ago that I've been meaning to sit down, purchase, and just do. But because I work in social media when I'm not doing my comics and gaming related stuff, I was like, I better get this done first.
No, that I mean, and that makes total sense.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But I will at some point, once shipping is more normalized, I really want to do that correspondence course because
Yeah, I mean, it is great how it has opened a lot of people up to be able to interact with the instructors, whether it's on the online course or it's through correspondence. And the instructors really do give you a lot of attention. And I mean, we're here to make you a better creator, to give you better technique. So,
yeah, and that's it. Like I've literally been eyeing off that correspondence course since I was about 12. I first heard of the Kubert School when I was in junior high, and I was like, yes, that. And now I'm a grown ass man, and maybe I can afford it. I'm looking forward to it.
well, with luck, you'll be one of the students soon.
Yeah, I really hope so. Because I love everything I've seen about it. I've seen a few people that I follow online, like posting their pages that they did for assignments and stuff, and it was really inspiring seeing the kind of marking and critique that they got, as opposed to when I went to fine art school last year. That was not an amazing experience.
Oh,
10 out of
you
10
can't.
do not recommend.
You know what? They can't all be gems.
It's true. I was just amazed at how the entire school was not a gem. Because I'd been to that school before for game design, and I did some amazing illustration classes while I was there. And that was where I first met Stuart McKenney.
Hmm.
He was a guest lecturer in my illustration class. I was like, this is amazing. They don't do any illustration classes anymore.
In the States, there's an issue with a lot of the publicly funded schools where they've been removing funding for arts programs and music programs and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know how things work on your end,
Same, same.
but I mean, that could be maybe the reason why they've removed the illustration because of lack of funding.
Yeah, the our LNP government has been axing arts funding all over the place, and also schooling funding, and they've
Mhm.
just like doubled the cost of university.
I'm very lucky that when I graduated college, I was able to get a job within a few months and I was able to pay off my loans. So, I mean, but I also, I'm much older than you are. So I was able to, I had the time to do that, and I'm very lucky at that. I don't envy people getting out of school and having, crushing loans. I mean, I had pretty big loans myself, but um I also did like work study and things like that. So you would like work for the university and that would offset the cost of your tuition. I also had scholarships and that kind of thing. But no, I mean, I was very lucky to be able to like get a job that was a good paying job or a good enough paying job that I was able to pay my loans down and get them over and done with. So yeah, I count my lucky stars on that one.
Yeah, that's actually why I love where I'm working right now. It's just a little startup, so literally none of us are getting paid right now. We're working with equity, but I'm getting so much training for my first job working in social media community management out of it. It's brilliant. It's like such a wonderful company to work for, and it was perfect for my first job out of the gate to work in the industry and community that I'm so steeped in. Like that's actually my work. And I've had that poster up there for since a year before I started working for them.
That's great.
I just had that's partly how I got the job as well, is because I was already involved with them as a fan and a customer, and they liked what I was doing. And then I was like, yeah, I'm doing social media because I want, of course, because I want to work in this. I'm like, all right, let's talk. And
But you
since
had an in. Good for you.
yeah, and so that saves me now having to go and do like another marketing degree or marketing diploma because I'm getting on the job training, and it's fabulous.
Yeah, that is, I mean, there is a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of equity in that. And, and learning on the fly and having people like sort of mentor you and things like that is really very important.
No, and it really is, and I'm learning a lot, and also the company is benefiting a lot from the fact that I've been so deeply involved in the community in my own
Yeah.
work for so long. Have a lot of connections to bring across, and it's been
Yeah.
working out for both of us, which is great. But onto the comic that we're actually talking about, I suppose.
Yes. On to I Hate Fairyland.
Yeah.
On to Gertrude and her green hair.
Yes. Yes. So if anyone hasn't read it, issue one is free on Comixology right now. You can go and just grab it and pick it up and read it as you go. If you want to, go do that right now. Come back in 10 minutes and watch the rest of the episode because you are probably going to get spoilers. But
Yes, there will be spoilers.
um, we're gonna take a look at issue one while we talk because that's what I've got open for us to sort of flip through right now. But the whole book is done now, if I remember correctly.
Yes, there are 3 volumes. There's 3 full volumes, and I want to say there's 6 issues each volume.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Um, I have all 3 volumes, and I think First of all, I adore Scotty Young's artwork. There's
Yeah, it's
something
really fun.
so, I mean, there's something innocent about it, but there's also something so like chaotically mischievous about it, which I think is so fabulous. Um, and I really, when I mean, I had seen he had done the Rocket Raccoon and a couple of other stories and stuff, but I really loved this whole concept of this young girl going to Fairyland and being stuck there for 30 years and just ending up being this sort of like grumpy, grizzled, cynical brat who is still in the body of like a 7-year old. I mean, there's something so delicious about that.
Yeah,
And she just looks so cute with her like her spinny curls and everything, and she's so perfect. And this I and it's just the idea of like the never ending quest that really could have been over and done with if she had actually just shut up and listened.
yeah, yeah, and that is an important lesson for all of us to learn. Sometimes it's time to just shut up and listen.
My mom says you have two ears and one mouth, and math says you have to shut up and listen.
I like
So
that.
there you go. I'm actually pulling it up on my Kindle now so I can make sure that I don't misspeak.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I've just got the first page up right now, where Gertrude's playing in her bedroom, and then suddenly a freaking pink and fluffy black hole opens up in the floor.
As pink and fluffy black and holes are wants to do.
Yeah, I love that as well. That Skottie didn't choose to just create a magic portal, but he made it the floor, and it kept it all with all the pink, all the polka dots and the stuffed toys.
The uber girly stuff. Yeah. He's just I mean, just his style in general, but his storytelling, his just it's just so fun. There's nothing not fun about this.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing not funny about it.
Yeah, even
Um,
in the darkest parts of the story, it's
yes, and
still
there are some dark parts.
it does. It gets pretty gruesome,
But
and
even but that's the thing is even the stuff that's really gruesome, it's very sort of Looney Tunes gruesome,
exactly. Yeah, it's like
and
if
I think
Looney Tunes had an R rating.
well, you know what it kind of reminds me of? Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons.
Yeah. Yes. I like.
Where people's heads are getting blown off and things like that. Like that's what it really reminds me of is that Itchy and Scratchy.
Yeah, no, I like that, and I like on the second page here as well. Like it instantly juxtaposes from all that bright chaos to the pitch blackness.
And also, I mean, when you look at these sort of like idyllic, innocent eyes that she has, and then like as she's falling, once and when you get farther into the story and she's older, you see that like this sweet, idyllic, angelic face is so corrupted
Yeah.
and so like beaten down that she's just like "Argh." She's like just like this angry old lady. um and unfortunately she's just I misspoke, excuse me, she's 6, she's not 7. uh but unfortunately, she's been there 30 years and now she's just like, screw it, I'm never getting out of this place.
Yeah.
And I like picture her like speaking with like like a smoker's cough.
I sort
you
of
know
imagine her sounding like I've forgotten the actress's name right now, but have you watched Kimmy Schmidt?
yes,
Lillian.
yes.
She I'm get serious Lillian vibes.
Oh my God. I think that the other thing is that like in Fairyland, she really can't die.
Yeah.
Like she gets beaten and basically torn apart, but she can't really die. And then there's that reveal on page 4 where you see this sort of like incredibly idyllic place with like
I'm looking at that right now.
where this even the sun has a happy face on. and there's clouds in the sky, and even the mean looking ogres are still like kind of like
Yeah, they're still pretty cute.
still look. And mind you, she's literally bruised and bloodied
Yeah,
in the
she's bleeding
center
all
of
over
all
the
of this.
floor, missing a tooth.
I i just noticed in the extreme foreground there is a mouse pirate.
I was, yes, literally as you said that, he just caught my eye. Just the little glint of silver on his sword.
Yes, the mouse pirate. It's great. And then there's like a gentleman pig and what looks like a gentleman octopus.
I think I'm
And I
gonna have
mean,
to get on Scottie's commission list now, just for a
oh
mouse pirate
God.
commission.
Oh man, that would be great. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just the thing about this story is that his drawing, his art style is just so like sweet and innocent, and the subject matter is just so,
Yeah,
so dark
yeah, and it's that
of this little
hardcore
girl.
juxtaposition. Oh man, I just noticed that even the mountains have faces.
Yes, the Old Man Mountain.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I didn't notice that
Yeah,
before.
it's just I don't know what that like thing, that sort of ball with three eyes, a triclops.
Oh yeah,
But I don't know what he is, but then there's like the guy who kind of looks like that one monster from the Muppets with the
yes,
horns in the front.
yeah, just miniaturized.
Oh my God.
There's some kind of Prince Charming on the horse in the background.
Yes, but his horse looks like it's like a stuffed horse.
Yeah,
It's huge. And then you have Queen Claudia, who
yeah.
is supposed to be sort of like Gertrude's savior, and um, things get very dark with Queen Claudia.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, spoiler alert. Sorry. It's fabulous, fabulous book. So yeah,
Larry.
yes, Larry is the fly who's supposed to be kind of like her guide
Yeah,
throughout
kind of her
Fairyland.
Jiminy Cricket.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
And she
forgot his
has
name until now. Yeah, Larry.
Larrigan Wentworth the Third. Very, very, very proper name. Um, and yeah, he's supposed to help her, and unfortunately, things don't things don't go the way they should.
Yeah, not really.
Poor Gert has a compound fracture in her left arm,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yep, I forgot
and
about that. It's just sticking right
she's
out there.
supposed to have she's supposed to just really simply have a quest. She's supposed to find a couple keys, and then she can go home and everything's fine. But, we cut to 27 years
Like,
later.
yeah, the old man moon.
Old Man in the Moon, and she is just foul-mouthed, and I love the way like he doesn't even do Grawlix for
No.
when she gets foul. It's um Larry, it's been 4 days since we passed Peppermint Pike. We should be at Candy's Muffin Huggin' Rock by now. Like, we know what she's trying to say,
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like the good place.
yes, it's exactly like The Good Place. Yes.
Yeah, shirt, fork that, and so on.
Well, fluff you and fluff this map.
Yeah,
And I have to say, the letterer, I think the letterer is Nate Picos.
yeah,
I just want to double check. Um, I think Nate does such a great job with the lettering, um, especially with things as simple as, you know, tweaking fonts when it comes to, her cursing.
mm-hmm.
And I believe that I believe there is a font with Blambot, which is Nate's company that creates fonts. And if you want to become a letterer, I definitely suggest you check out blambot.com.
I think I
And he
literally
has a
just
font.
bookmarked that for my work.
Yeah, it's great. And he has an I Hate Fairyland font, and it's got, all um, these great fonts in it. And it really has like such a fabulous look, and that sort of whimsical look of it really lends itself to the story. Oh my God. And then we see, it's funny because she says fluff that guy, but you see her giving the finger, so I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, that's awesome. Um, but you see that she has these like, it almost reminds me of like Mario. What was it? Was it Paper Mario or like one of the Mario worlds where like everything had a face, the
Yeah.
cannonballs, everything had a face, and kind of also like Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
So like every time she shoots something or she does or there's a shooting of a gun or a cannonball or something, it always has a face on it.
Yep.
So she's pissed off at the moon and she literally blows the moon up, and
Yep.
not in a like cutesy way. Like
No,
this
I'm
is,
yeah, it's right here and
yeah,
wow.
it is like a two-thirds splash of
I love the
eyeballs.
gush in the middle.
Yes, eyeballs exploding, brain, heart, teeth broken, just, arterial blood spray everywhere. It is
Yeah.
just so gruesome.
Also, just
But
as an
at this,
aside, I love the panel borders.
yes, they're, just ever slightly like wavering and hand drawn, and
Yeah.
they're just fantastic.
I don't think I
Uh,
really noticed that last time. It's one of the reasons why I've been loving doing this show, because I'm preparing to write and draw my first just completely made by me books for next year. And every time I talk to someone on this show, I notice new things about the books as we're going through them, and I feel like I'm learning so much just by chatting with other people about these books.
and that's important just as an artist to be able to recognize even something like line weight.
Yes.
Like if someone uses like thick, thin, and such. And on this, if you notice in the coloring, if you go to the next page, and even with the moon, the colorist changes the line color.
Oh
So the
yeah.
moon's line color is this sort of blue gray purple, like almost like an antique kind of lilac.
Mm.
Whereas Gertrude is, black line, and so is Larry. But then when you look at the stars again, their line color is switched to like a
Yeah.
yellow orange.
Like,
Um,
I love the little bullets too.
yes, the cannonballs, twinkle, twinkle, little star. And then they just rip through. There's literally bone hanging out, X's over eyes. Like these poor stars are just decimated
Yeah.
to the point. And then like they're at, you know, Queen Claudia's castle, and she's like, "Oh, this is such a beautiful night. Look how lovely everything is. So many shooting stars." And it's not shooting stars. The stars are literally falling out of the sky because they have been murdered.
Yeah. Yeah. The stars aren't shooting. The stars have been shot.
Yes, exactly. And this
That page
is
isn't going to load, so I'll skip to this
this
next
is
one.
this is when Queen Claudia decides,
Yeah, that Gertrude is a
it's,
problem.
yeah. Yeah, Gertrude is more than a problem,
Yeah.
and she's definitely going to make it a point to find her and get her.
Yeah, she's hiring a freelancer as it goes on.
Yes. And she finds a way to she's basically hiring a hitman for Gertrude
Yeah.
because she knows that Gertrude is destroying everything. Now, meanwhile, Gertrude basically feels like it's almost like Groundhog Day to her, like in the
Yeah.
sense that like, well, I can do anything because, whatever, they're never going to kick me out because we learn that they can't kick her out. Gertrude has to get her way out.
Yeah.
So, all right, now I'm just going to, raise hell for the sake of raising hell.
Yeah, I think it's like she's equal parts Donnie and the dude. No, no, so not Donnie. That was
Walter.
yeah, Walter. That's the one. Yeah. She's equal
Yeah.
parts Walter and the dude at this point.
Yeah. And she just goes nuts. And they end up getting her, and
Yeah, I
okay,
love the frog taser.
yes, I love the frog taser. The fact that like she's brought to the slug,
Yeah, she's got
the
bones
uh
in
the
her
king
hair.
slug. Yeah.
I didn't notice that before, but she's got bones in her curls.
Oh my God, that's great. That is great. From the from the X-ray of that. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Jeez. So yeah, so she gets brought to the Slug Lord, and by this point, she really is infamous in Fairyland.
Oh yeah.
It's been 27 years,
Yeah.
and
Everyone knows who she
every
is.
everybody knows who she is. Everybody knows what a pain in the ass she is, and everybody knows that this is like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love all the little logo fonts that they've added for all the different words,
Yes.
like all the different
And this is
locations and people.
and this is why I really, Nate Picos gets a lot of props for this. Um, because he really did go through and, dreaming of the gleaming dove and half a dozen blunders who drink from the spring of time, but have no time to waste, and who eat from the ringed mind but can't stand the taste. This sort of riddle
Yeah.
that she has to answer. Um, the funny thing is that Gertrude really can leave anytime she wants. She just has to find the keys and get out, and she refuses to do that. And I don't understand. And maybe she just doesn't have like the patience for it. Maybe it's a don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, I think it's a
But
bit of that. It's like it's that stubbornness and like, no, I'm not part of your system.
it's funny you say that because I just talked to my students about the Through It on the Ground, Lonely Island, the other day. And when he goes, I won't be part of your system. And that's
Yeah,
exactly what
yeah, exactly. That's it. She knows how to get out,
yeah.
but
She just
she's
doesn't want to do
determined.
it.
Yeah, she's pissed and determined to do something else.
Yet she's, her own worst enemy.
Yeah,
And yeah, she ends up really messing with the slug,
yeah,
be- eating him with his own and choking him with his own clock, which is obviously a an homage to Jabba the Hutt and
yeah,
Princess Leia, choking
yeah.
the giant slug. Uh, and then she has I don't know if it's technically cannibalism, because I guess cannibalism would be her on another human,
Yeah.
but she's
Yeah,
chewing on this dude,
yeah, she's chewing on these mushroom dudes.
and that's gross.
And yeah, I think they might also be hallucinogenic.
They might be.
Because, yeah, if I have a look at the eyes as she's munching on them.
Yeah, she's got like swirly, hypnotic, crazy eye going for her. The Shroom Patrol instead of the Doom Patrol, the Shroom Patrol.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my God. And then she realizes that she really does have to make a break for it because they're coming after her with the big guns. And of
Oh,
course, in Fairyland, there's all kinds of crazy stuff like
flying
pigs
pigs.
flying.
And then there you go, confirmed. She's hallucinating hardcore when she's looking at Larry.
Yes. And Larry is just like out of it. Oh my God. See, that would have scared the hell out of me, but she's okay with it.
Yep.
She's just sort of like, I'm tasting thoughts.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah, this isn't my
crazy
first
bad trip.
rodeo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after 27 years in Fairyland, you pretty much have, seen it all and done it all.
It is,
She
yeah.
tries,
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like, and finally the trip wears off, and she finally realizes that like she's gonna be okay.
Yeah, and yeah, now they're on Ice Cream Island.
Yes, which is one of the places that she's supposed to have gone to the first time, the first 27 years ago time.
Yep.
Oh man, I could go for some ice cream island.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty friggin' hot here. So yeah, Ice Cream Island sounds good.
I gotta tell you, time zones and hemispheres like just mess with me because like my heat is blasting on me right now.
Yeah. Whereas
And whereas with you, it's going to be summertime.
yeah, it's like end of spring, start of summer, and it's already ridiculous.
Nope. This is where things get really, really cold for us, and I'm just like, I just want to curl up in bed and sleep in the nice warmth.
Yeah, it's 83
Um,
outside.
is that's
That's Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I can't do the Fahrenheit centigrade too
Uh,
quickly.
Me neither. I'm just lucky that if I just look up local weather, it's got a button so I can click either.
I was staying at a girlfriend's in London a couple of years ago, and she had Alexa, and I kept saying like, Alexa, what's the temperature out? And she would say it in centigrade, and I would say, Alexa, what's the temperature in Fahrenheit? And she would say it in Celsius again, and I'm like, damn you, Alexa! I can't do the 5/9 or 9/5 math in my head.
Yeah, well,
So
it's
yeah,
28C, and that's 83F.
you're gonna make me do algebra.
Oh no, you don't have to work it out, but that's what it is
Oh,
right now. It's 28 degrees
okay.
Celsius, and it's 83 Fahrenheit right now at 11 a.m.
Equals 28C equals 83F. So 28 times X equals 83 divided by 28. Oh God, it's been 30 years since I did algebra. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, well, for
I'm not doing
a
it.
nice round number for you is 100 Fahrenheit is 37 Celsius.
Oh God, no.
Yeah,
100F equals 37C. Which, fuck it, I'm not doing it. I'm not
so
doing it.
100 Fahrenheit is just like it. That's Monday in summer here. That's the average.
I remember I was in Palm Desert, California for a conference back in 2008. And it was like, there were a lot of stupid things about this conference. One of the stupid things was that gas was like $5 a gallon. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. I take the, I get like a cab from the airport to the hotel where the conference is. And I'm not lying when I tell you the cab was $200.
Actually, no, I believe you because I remember getting public transport around San Francisco when I was first there, for a couple of days, and that was expensive enough.
I get to the hotel, and it's like a 4 or 5 day conference. And at one point, they wanted to take a photograph. They want to take a photo of everybody at the conference outside. It was 118 degrees, but there's no humidity, is what everybody said. I don't care. 118 degrees is 118 degrees. Humidity, no humidity, it doesn't matter. My purse got so dry from sitting outside that it cracked. My leather purse cracked, and the strap cracked and broke off. That's how dry it was
Yeah,
outside.
yeah,
I'm like, damn it. So yeah,
yeah.
I
That
I
was where I grew up. Was dry and hot like that. And then here in Brisbane, it's like the Queensland is the Florida of Australia in terms of
so it's
weather.
humid.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just want like San Diego weather, 73 degrees, perfect. Never rains. I don't know how. It's just chef's kiss.
Hmm. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We got around the 118 mark a few days last summer. Like like a lot of days last summer, which is how half the country ended up on fire.
Yeah, we're actually going into this, like we've been in the 30s and 40s this week, and then next week, by the end of next week, we're going to be in the 60s. So I don't even understand.
Yeah.
I don't get any of it. And it's just been like gross and rainy. And I keep telling my husband if I wanted to have lived in Seattle, I would have moved there. And it's just like gross, cold, rainy, ugh,
Yeah.
just make me never get out of bed. But all right. So, okay, so they make it to Ice Cream Island,
Yeah.
and Gertrude is complaining about the cold, not entirely understanding the fact that ice cream has to be cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, she's not
And
the
then she's
most.
got to puke.
Yeah. And
She's not
that's.
the brightest bulb.
No, she's not. And that's a lot, by the way.
Yeah,
That's a lot for a little girl.
yeah. And but this is the thing, is she's not a little girl anymore.
Yeah.
She just looks like a little
Yeah.
girl.
Well, I mean
She's actually
the sheer
33.
volume that she
Oh,
expels.
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, for such a.
It's basically all of her.
Yeah. Yeah, there's even some bones in it.
Well, she was eating those mushroom dudes. She ate all of them. Like she was chomping on like skull and brain and just, oh my God. She's terrible. Terrible. I just think it's funny because when we first meet Larry, he looks like a functioning alcoholic. Like he looks like somebody who's an alcoholic who you know is an alcoholic, but he still gets his job done.
Yeah.
He's functioning. Now he's just literally like, look, lady, I'm stuck with you. Can we please get through this stupid ass,
Yeah.
thing, this quest, so I can just get on with my life? And now Larry just doesn't even give a shit anymore.
Right? Yeah, he's so over her shit. And to me, Larry sounds like Bob Hoskins in my head.
Yes. Yes. I can definitely see. Like, I don't understand why they haven't even made this a movie yet.
Yeah, right? I don't care
Skottie,
whether it has to
definitely
be
make this a
animated
movie.
or live action, but I
I
think,
think if it was live action, it would be even funnier. Or maybe, it's like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where Fairyland is all animated and she's real. That
yeah.
would be funny. Oh, poor Larry.
Yeah, he's so done with Gertrude. So done.
I would be too. I'll be honest. I would be too. Like reading this book, I was like, I'm never having kids.
Right? And
Um,
then here comes Nipples the Gertrude Slayer.
yes. Oh my God. It's like the real He-Man.
Yeah.
Like it's like what you would think about actual He-Man,
Yeah.
with like the giant skulls, the mace, the axe, and like literally like baby bottle nipples.
Yep. Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
And yeah, just love that. That's the final page. Oh man, and the moon behind him.
Yeah. The moon is just, it's just
Bandaged up.
wrapped up. You know, there was a Scotty Young Moon Knight cover that was, he was doing all of his variant covers, and the Moon Knight cover that he had was like just so great. And it kind of reminds me of that sort of, and you look at the ends, the edges are just so ever so curly,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know? It's so perfect. I mean, I love his work. I really, really do. I mean, just zooming in, like his line work is so great.
Yeah. I love
And
I think that's what I've been drawn to lately. The last few comics I've talked about on the show, I've always had sort of the same thing to say, is that there's like a real economy of line in the work.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's detail, but there's not too much internal detail, you know?
And even here on the when you look at the ice creams in the background and on the moon, the line art is the color change on the line art.
Mm.
So this way you have your foreground characters with the black line pushing forward and these, the moon and everything still present, but pushed back.
Yeah, no, I like that, and that's actually something I want to experiment with on this mini that I'm working on. I realized after I did a assignment for the uni course last year that I'd accidentally combined some of the photographic stuff that I'd been learning in the photography classes with my illustration, and was doing like the
Accidentally?
yeah. No, I just as I finished it, I looked at it. I was just like I made some choices about what I thought would look cool, and then when I looked at it, I realized I'd sort of unconsciously pulled focus and put the line art in the background sort of fuzzy and translucent and made the foreground character really crisp and hard lined. And I was like, that's really fun, and I actually want to work on doing that on purpose now.
Well, that's the thing is like once you do it on purpose, you got to make sure that you like sometimes when you do things on autopilot, it comes out better. And then if you stop and think about it and like, well, how is it that I do this is when you get the yips and you're just like, whoa, I don't understand. Um, it's funny, I drive a manual and not that many people in the States drive manual. And a friend of mine asked me as I'm driving, like, how is it that you do that? And when I stopped, now mind you, I've been driving a manual for 25 plus years.
Yeah.
When I stopped and thought about it, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to stall out because now I'm thinking about it.
Yep.
And it's like, you've literally been doing this every day of your life for the past 25 plus years. Why does it make a big thing? And I don't know if you ever watched Bob's Burgers. There was an episode where uh, one of the regulars at Bob's Burgers asked him how he made a burger. And because he had to stop and think about it, like everything fell apart.
Yep.
Like he forgot everything. Like he didn't even know how to use the spatula to flip the burger because because it was so just second nature. And that if you stop and you think about it, it's like, oh my God. So I try not to, and I notice that when I'm writing sometimes, if I think about it too much, I get that block. But
Yep.
if I just say to myself, all right, screw it, just do it, just let that other personality who actually knows what they're doing take over for a bit, then just do it. Then it actually goes through as opposed to sitting there and every single, sentence making this like crazy choice and then be, oh, I hate it. I gotta erase that. Oh
Yeah,
crap.
I have to do that when I'm DMing sometimes, when I'm like doing live streamed games. And I just like, because especially with my brain, I forget a lot of rules sometimes, or I'll like, this thing is this, right? And it's actually, this thing is this. And I'm just like, you know what? While I'm DMing on stream, I don't even think about looking at the rules or checking things. And I warn everyone beforehand that I'm probably going to forget some shit, and you're just going to have to roll with it.
Yeah.
You may roll dice for things that you have never rolled dice before when you're playing with me, because I am winging it.
But and that's where some of the best stuff comes from.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes, I mean, I've gotten to the point where like I try and plan things out really well in terms of like stories and stuff like that. Just from like a structural perspective. Um, and I also, especially when it comes to things like world building, I also want to make sure that like I'm following my own rules. Because the worst thing you can do as a storyteller is sort of set a set of rules for your audience and then totally break them because you've written yourself into a corner. And that's just sort of like, bad writing. But there are times when I'm just like, especially if it's a story that takes place in the real world and I don't have to worry about, crazy world building, where I'm just like, huh, what, screw it. We're gonna do something different. Let's just roll with it. And sometimes it works, and then other times I'll go back and, change it in the next draft. Um, but yeah, I mean, sometimes if you really start to overthink stuff, you wind up doing yourself a disservice. And I also think that sometimes you just have to get that first draft out, like that word salad out, just get it out of your system and then be like, oh, there actually is a couple of like usable bits in here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly what I do when I'm sort of planning something for a game. I'll just
yeah.
and then
Yeah,
look at it
the
again.
gif of the cat doing
Yeah,
this on the keyboard. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. But I mean, it's funny. I don't think that you can teach like creativity and things like that. I think that you can um, sort of guide creativity. I think everybody has the opportunity to be creative. Um, and one of the things that I always tell my students at the Kubert School is like, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what is going to make a good story. So you come to me with the raw materials, and together we will sort of build it into a story and take it to the place that you want to go. And a lot of times I found that, and this not just with the students at the school, but I had taught a bunch of online courses as well. Um, People will be like, "Oh, I have this great story, and I've been working on it for the past 30 years, and but it's perfect." Okay, well, if it's perfect, then why didn't you make it into a story? Why didn't you make it into a comic 30 years ago? You know, so part of the process, and I do this as an editor, but then I also have to remember it when I'm getting edits as a writer, is you have to be willing to to roll with the punches. And that's always tough because especially if you have a story that you've been working on for a really long time, everything is precious to you. Everything, every character, every, moment, everything is precious to you. Um, but if you're a first time creator, what you need to do is you need to just tell a good streamlined story. Don't overcomplicate it with a race of orcs that, come out of nowhere and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. Just tell a good streamlined story. And once you can do that, then you can start adding elements. Like, I always talk about like if you've ever like crocheted or knitted or things like that, if you're dealing with one color, you can put together a really nice scarf. When you master that, then you can start adding crazy colors and stripes and doing all this fun stuff. But if you start, trying to do all the crazy stuff, it's not going to work because you're just going to end up with a mess. And you don't want that.
exactly.
Um, so, I mean, I try and I teach, it can, you might think it's type A, but it's this very sort of like specific organized paradigm for how to organize your story even before you start scripting. Um, and then once you get to the scripting phase, you've already pretty much thought out your arc. You've thought out the order in which you're going to tell your story. Are you telling a linear story? Are you telling a nonlinear story? Are you um, going to have? Are you starting a story at the beginning of your character's journey? Or are you starting in the middle of your character's journey? Things like that. And I notice that some of the students are resistant to some of my suggestions, and I get that, and I say, look, I'm telling you what I think, in my professional opinion, is going to make for a better story. If you think I'm wrong, prove me wrong. And I said that all of last year, which was my first year teaching. And I say that to them again this year. Prove me wrong, because I will be the first person standing in line to congratulate you at your book signing. I will be the first person to do that if you want to do it your way. But for this class, you're going to do my way. you know, I'm
Yeah,
still the instructor here, damn it.
exactly.
You know,
And that's it. Like that's why I try to go into every class thinking like I'm gonna learn how to do it this class's way, and then I'm gonna take that and see how my way meshes with that because you
exactly.
need to learn the foundationals.
Yeah.
You might
And
then be able to rip them apart and create something new.
but it's like I used to work in advertising, and a lot of times clients would always say things like, "Well, we don't know what we want, but we know what we don't want." So in order to learn how to craft a story, um, you might not know where the starting point is. So my paradigm for writing a story may not be what works for you, but you don't know if it's what works for you unless you try it.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to eliminate things by trying them, and then
Yeah.
eventually find the right combination of things.
And find out what also works for your workflow. I mean, I know some people who do their best work from like 4 p.m. to like midnight. I know other people who do their best work at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hmm.
Um, everybody's different.
Yeah, I find that
I
I do this sort of stuff good around this time.
Oh, good. I got it. Good.
Yeah.
I have Sean on his A game.
Yeah.
I have Sean on his A game. Okay, good.
But as far as when I'm illustrating and stuff like that, I like to do that in the afternoon and evening.
Yeah.
I just like I can't help it. Like I'll write through the day or whatever, but if I'm sitting around and I'm like watching a movie or just hanging out listening to music with Robin, out comes the tablet and I'll just be sketching while we're hanging out. It's just
Yeah.
what my brain and body wants to do at that time.
I have notebooks like in every room of my house. So I can be sitting having dinner with my husband, I could be watching TV or whatever, but if an idea hits, I have to write it down.
Yeah.
And I'll just like grab a note, and then like usually at the end of the week I like gather them all together, and I like take photos of all my strange, bizarre, like half sentence scribbles, and like put them all together, and I'm like, okay, this weekend I'm going to make sense of all of this jumble of
Yep.
stuff. And then it's usually, okay, this goes in that pile and that goes in that pile, that just goes in the trash. So,
Yep.
but I mean, like a lot of times when you're creating just in general, you you're going to come up with a lot of good ideas and you're going to come up with a lot of garbage. But sometimes, I mean, if you come up, like when I was working on Forgotten Home, I had started that story as like an anti-Frozen because everybody loved Frozen and two sisters and loved each other and blah blah. And I was like, I want to write a story about two sisters who want to kill each other. Um, because I just nothing against it. I know it's supposed to be a good movie, but I'm so sick of that song and everybody singing it. So I had started writing sort of the anti-Frozen, and I realized that these other elements were coming in that were good, but they had nothing to do with that story. So I was like, okay, let me just cut that out and put that over there, and then finish my anti-Frozen, story. And then I went back to it, and I was like, okay, there's something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but I started working with it more and more, and it's like sort of molding clay and adding a little bit more, and that's what basically became Forgotten Home. So I still have like the magical world and things like that, but instead of, the dragons and, the more, I guess, classic fantasy, like sort of almost like medieval kind of aesthetic, I had something that was sort of modern, and then the aesthetic of the magical world of Janata was going to be this very interesting, amalgam of Sid Mead meets Blade Runner meets, Ralph McQuarrie, and a little bit of, sword and sorcery thrown in. And I lucked out with Marika Cresta because Marika was actually trained as an architect. So all of her pieces, all of her set pieces are crazy, and just she basically, like, everything was like a CAD drawing, like everything was in the right place where it needed to be and everything. And when we were going back and forth when we were first starting on the project, I was like, I'm thinking like Sid Mead, Ralph McQuarrie, and she just writes back, you had me at Sid Mead. Like, you know um just because, like, really the futuristic concept work from, Sid Mead's work in general were just, if that does not spark an idea in anyone, then you check yourself for a pulse,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. Um, and it was just, I mean, Marika did such a fabulous job, and sort of piggybacking off of that, was Giselle Ayala, who had drawn these incredible outfits, these gowns, and everyone sort of had their own sort of royal symbol and everything. And that was a really cool way to sort of marry these two aesthetics. Um, and hell, we were damn proud of that book. We are damn proud of that book. So sorry, I had to put a plug in there.
No, no, that's the well, actually, that's the part, sort of the part of the show that we're approaching. Actually,
Oh, okay,
is
cool.
we've reached the end of issue one of I Hate Fairyland with Nipples McGee here. Um, and yeah, like seriously, if you've got anything that's in the pipes or is has just come out or whatever is happening, tell us about it. That whatever you can. If there's anything under NDA, obviously that's not.
Well, okay. So I've got Forgotten Home, the full collected edition, all 8 issues, is up on Comixology. Um, it will be in print next spring from coming out from Dark Horse. I've got the Legacy of Mandrake series from Red 5 Comics and Stonebot Comics just came out
I
this
just
week.
bought that last night.
Awesome. The Zero issue is actually for free on Comixology.
Excellent. I will go and get that as
Yes,
well.
there is a one-shot Zero issue that's a 32-page oversized one and done that's on Comixology, and we tied it into the mini series. And then when it comes out in print, all 5 issues, so the Zero issue and then 1 through 4 are going to be collected together. So that's out now. We announced at the Mad Cave Showcase in October that I announced the team that I'm working with as the editor with Eric Burnham and Stelladia. But we can't announce the title yet, but that book will be coming out next spring to summer with Mad Cave Studios. And I am working on a new series, possibly from Comixology Originals. I'm not exactly sure if they're going to greenlight it yet, but it's trending green. And my editor is James Emmett, who is a fantastic editor. They're working on that with me. I actually just sent them the script for the last draft of the script for issue 2 today. I hit the send button on that one. I was pretty excited about it. And that's going to be a 5 issue miniseries. And it's basically the tagline is 3 sisters who are estranged and were trained by their Nazi hunting mother come back home to solve their mother's murder and try not to kill each other in the process.
Nice. I like the sound of that too.
Yeah. Takes place in 1998. And it's near and dear to my heart if writing about, psychopathic sisters could be considered endearing.
Have you been reading Adventure Man?
I have not. It's on my pull list though, but I
Yeah,
haven't been reading it yet.
it's good. I think you'll like it. If you like the like interesting sort of combative but healing sister dynamic sort of thing, I think you'll really dig it. And like I don't know about you, but I do always have a soft spot for those pulpy old man of adventure type stories. And I appreciate this one that shows at the very beginning all those sort of crappy tropes that those older movies of the time had, and then shoves that aside to bring in something newer and progressive.
That is very cool.
Because,
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because as I'm writing this, I'm remembering back to 1998, which I was going on 22 back then. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, there's a lot of language that I cannot use that was used in 1998 that I don't feel comfortable using.
yep.
Um, but this idea of, because I'm one of 3, I have an older brother and an older sister. And there's this dynamic when you're one of 3 where it's always 2 against 1 and it constantly rotates, constantly.
Yep.
So this idea of like 2 sisters shouting at one of them and then one feeling bad and being like, "Oh, don't beat up on her." And she's like, "But I don't need your pity." And then it's like, this constant sort of rotation dynamics of, and they love each other to death. Like they love each other so much that they would kill each other for each other, you know, like that kind of thing. So I really like that sort of bouncing characters off of each other. I did that somewhat when I wrote Charmed with Maria Laura Sanapo, who was a fantastic line artist on that. We had some of that dynamic of these three sisters sort of like bickering and, one taking the side of the other and then turning on a dime kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like, yeah, that's siblings right there.
Yep. I never quite got that myself because between me and my next youngest sibling is 9 years.
Okay.
So I never quite got that dynamic, but I'm the youngest of three.
Yeah,
But I have
there's
heard the
a,
stories of them.
yes. Well, that's the thing is like there's the three of us in 6 years. So we're all pretty close
Yep.
in terms of age. Um, and I remember my mother telling me, both of my parents were only children. And I remember my mother calling up a girlfriend of hers and saying, I don't understand why they hate each other. And she's like, it's because you were an only child. Like, kids are just going to hate on each other. Like, that's just what they do.
Yep. I'd say that, and that was it. I may as well have been an only child growing up because my siblings had pretty much already moved out by the time I was old enough to really
To
notice
understand what
any
was
of
going
that.
on.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, my brother and I definitely butted heads as I was growing up. I do remember chasing each other around the backyard with a cattle prod.
We didn't have a cattle prod. What we would do is we would take this is the 80s, the 70s and 80s, and you had the really knee-high tube socks, and you would take a tube sock and you would stuff other socks into it, like really, really hard. And it would be this like really dense thing, and you would like whip it around and then beat each other with it.
Yeah,
That's what we used to do.
no, I've
We
done that
used to call
too.
it the whippy pippy. We used to
Yeah,
do that.
no, so,
Beat the hell out of each other.
we had a cattle farmer friend of the family who decided
So he
to.
gave you a here, just give it. Here's a cattle prod for the kids to play with.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Oh my god!
And
If we had
so
a cattle prod when I was growing up, somebody would have died.
yeah. No, he zapped me real big with it, and I managed to get it off him. Like little me, like this big, managed to get it off him and chased him over the back fence. But he's probably not going to see this, and I don't really care either way. But my brother hasn't never necessarily been the brightest of the three of us. So I chased him over the fence, and he was standing on the other side of the fence, and he forgot that it was made of metal. It was just like a chicken wire grid fence. So he got distracted briefly when a family friend came past. So little me put the cattle prod behind my back and promised not to do anything.
Oh my god!
Touched the tips of it to the fence behind my back and
Oh,
turned it on. And told
oh
him to climb
god!
back over. It's okay, I'm not going to get you. You can climb over the fence. It's fine.
You're evil.
I
You're
was
a
like,
terrible
I
person.
was 9.
You're terrible.
He deserved it.
You're...
He zapped me square on the back first.
Maybe that's where your back problem came from.
And he was like 15, so.
Oh, that's terrible. No, I think, like I said, I think the worst thing we did was we used to like beat each other with tube socks.
Yeah.
Although it is funny because my dad was a cop for a period of time, and he had a pair of handcuffs where one side worked and one side didn't. And I remember my parents um, going out to dinner and leaving my brother in charge, my older brother, and he didn't want to have to worry about where me and my sister were running off to in the house. Mind you, we had the tiniest of houses, like we really did. But he didn't want to have to worry about us. So he handcuffed me to the closet doorknob, and he tied my sister to like he sat her on the floor and like tied her with our jump rope to the bedpost. So when my parents came home, they found my sister tied to the bedpost crying. They found me like this crying. And my parents were just like, you are all crazy. So we managed to get the one side off, but the side that was attached to me could not come off. So instead of my dad finding the key or anything like that, my mother literally drove us to the police station, my brother and I, and she said, go in there and let them take care of it. And I remember like holding my brother's hand and like walking into the police station, like my head down, all forlorn and crying and being like, "Can you please help me?" And they're like, "Where are your parents?" I was like, "Mom's in the car." And that was probably the worst thing that he did. But no. But I mean, meanwhile, like my brother is, I adore my brother, and obviously because we're in our 40s now, so our relationship is very, very different. But yes, back then, yes,
Yeah,
that was a fun one.
it's the same with me and my older sister. I'm in my 30s now, and she's got 11 years on me. So our relationship is a lot different now to what it was when I was little. She's still very protective of me, but it's
Yeah.
still it's different.
I one of the things that I miss about New York Comic Con that, I mean, on an aside, I enjoy going to conventions. I do. 2020 being what it is, I actually kind of like the day, the year off from going to conventions.
I know what you mean.
Although New York Comic Con would be like, I would give my brother a pass. I would get him a pass and he would come, and like it was always really fun because he would sometimes man my table. And my brother is a big dude. He's like 6'8". He's like a big dude. And he's like big and big. He's like Bigfoot basically. Um, so if you've ever seen like Sasquatch, it's probably my brother before he shaved. And he would be standing at my table, and anybody who would try and come by and be an ass, he would just intimidate them by sheerly standing up. Um, so I do miss the fact that we missed New York Comic Con this year, but I'm hoping that next year things will be back to normal. I put normal in air quotes because who knows what normal is going to be.
Yeah,
Um, but I do like the fact that I don't have to like get up super early and go to like crazy panels and like run across convention centers, and
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
that's nice.
yeah. I've been
I
sort
like
of
the
an
fact that
artist
I could
alley
sleep.
type for the last couple of years,
Yes.
and so I don't miss it. Like I do miss it, but I don't miss the exhaustion of it.
Yes, and it's funny because a lot of people when they go to conventions and they are there as spectators, and there's basically just like customers, consumers, they don't really understand that standing on your feet for 14 hours a day and shouting over your table at people and breathing recycled air, and it's not good for you.
Yeah.
At New York Comic Con last year, everybody talks about con crud. I actually got pneumonia after New York Comic Con last year. Yeah, I was laid up
Yeah, no,
bad.
I've had the crud, but I haven't had that.
Yeah. My husband and I have been together almost 20 years, and he said to me, I've never in all the years that we've been together, I've never seen you this sick ever. So yeah, so last year was I got really sick. And when they before they had actually canceled New York Comic Con, when they were still talking about actually having it, I was like, whoa, like I can't do that. I can't go through what I went through last year again
Mm-hmm.
this year. So I am kind of happy that they, that they canceled conventions simply because, I want to be able to sleep.
Yep,
I'm
that's it.
getting old. I'm getting too old for this shit.
And the online convention sort of dynamic has been really interesting as a result out of it
Yes.
as well. I took part in PAX Online this year, and that was really interesting. I got to be a part of a couple of events over it, and it was so different because I went to PAX last year and I was playtesting my games there, but this
Yeah.
year I was actually on panels and like doing a live streamed charity D&D game, and it was completely different from being that to this. But then that plus the online international audience dynamic changed completely. It was amazing, nerve wracking, but amazing.
But I think you're right. This idea of, the ability to reach a wider audience and the ability to make these conventions accessible. I mean, brass tacks, these conventions are financially expensive.
Yeah.
They really are. And not everybody has the opportunity to share in them. And even and this as an exhibitor, they're expensive as exhibitors as
Mm-hmm.
well. Um, So the opportunity for people to see conventions online, to see panels, um, to do like virtual meet and greets and things like that. I mean, that really does open up the fandom to people that never really would have the opportunity to go to any of these things, to go to any of these events. So I think that that's really, I'm not going to say it democratized conventions a little more, but it really has sort of helped be able to open it up to a much broader audience, which as creators, I mean, that's great because then this way people see you and your work and they see me and my work, things that to people that may have never seen me before or never seen your work before.
Yeah.
And this way it sort of opens up your audience. And you had talked earlier off mic about like doing Kickstarters. Well, people will be like, oh, hey, that's the guy that I saw at PAX. Oh yeah, let me back the Kickstarter or let me
Yeah.
retweet it or whatever.
And that was
So it
exactly it.
really does help. Yeah,
Yeah, I had some people who were at PAX, which was down in Melbourne, come and
yeah.
see me last year at Supernova here in Brisbane when I was running an Indiegogo for these D&D screens that I created. Like they followed me from there to social media to the event so they could come and see the real deal thing in person. And it was
And now
fabulous.
that you've done things online and reached out to people and reached people much broader than even just, the area of people who would have actually gone to the show, then hopefully when you're doing crowdfunding that helps that
Yeah, it's
broadens your audience.
exactly. It's just going to be, yeah, it's going to be a big difference now. Like, I've had the opportunity to work with a couple of really cool comics creators on both comics and gaming projects now. And so, like, our audiences are all cross pollinating. And then there's all of those people from the online conventions and stuff. It's a whole new world and new dynamic for being a content creator right now.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that it's easier now or harder now, but it's different. And I think like we talked before, like if you lean into that, if you start embracing the change that's happening and find your way to navigate it, then you're going to be better for it, and just in general.
Yeah, I agree completely. Awesome. Well, that's actually us approaching the hour now, so that's been a really fun talk, actually. I've learned a lot from this episode, particularly. It's got me thinking about different ways of doing things for the writing that I'm planning on doing in the next couple of weeks. I have been using a combination of StoryPlanner.com's Take Off Your Pants outline.
Oh yeah, the pantser versus planners. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And then I've also been following Matt Garvey. He's just started up his
Mhm.
new YouTube channel with comics tips, and he did one on scripting comics a little while ago, and I wanted to have a crack at that to write a couple of 4 or 5 page issues. And now with this as well, I'm looking forward to just clearing my schedule for a week and writing.
Yeah, I mean, Matt has some really good insight, and I spoke to him online the other day. I think it's, what he's doing, he's making comics accessible, and I really encourage people to check out Matt Garvey's work.
Yeah.
Um, I also think, there are a lot of really great writers who have vlogs and blogs out there that give writing tips. Like I know Jim Zub has like a writing blog where he gives tips too. And I would also, if you have the time and you have the resources, I would look into the Kubert School online writing classes as well. They're having Amy Chu is teaching scripting. She is a writer and one of the instructors at the Kubert School as well. She's teaching the current writing scripting class, which everybody should definitely check out. And you had talked about the correspondence course, the
Yeah.
Kubert School correspondence course. Um, but I think that, this idea of like starting small with 4 and 5 page stories is very important. Because if you can tell a concise story, then that's like you're starting to build your foundation, and then you get more complex after that. So I think, you need to start sort of mastering the simple stuff. I know everybody wants to fly before they can walk, and I get that, but you got to start
Yeah.
small.
No,
We
that's
all started small.
exactly. That's why my main story is completely on hold until I've done a bunch of this small stuff.
Yeah.
especially
And
because
like you said before about anthologies,
yeah,
getting anthology work, you're going to be doing 4 and 5 page stories anyway. So if you can tell us a short story, then it definitely helps you getting work.
exactly. That's exactly it. And another thing as well is when I first sat down to do some concept art for the big story, I realized I've never drawn a dog before, and my main character is an anthropomorphic dog.
I was working I'm trying to think. I can't even remember what the book was, but I was working on a book and the artwork had a bunch of like knights and they were riding horses, and there were some of the horses that I swear to you, they were not horses' faces. Like it literally looked like they drew a bear and then like elongated the snout. And it's because like horses have their eyes on the side, and the person had drawn the eyes like right here. And I kept looking at it, and I was with a girlfriend of mine who's an artist, and I was looking at the pages, and I was like, I can't quite place it." And she goes, "Is he writing a bear?" And I was like, "That's it, it's a bear." And then we started going through all the pages, and it literally was like if you had taken it in Photoshop and you took the head and you used like the distort tool and you just smushed it, it was a bear's face that they just elongated the snout. I was like, "Oh my God, they're writing bears."
That's great.
So yeah, so look up some reference on how to draw dogs. And this
Yeah,
person she needs to look up references on horses' faces
yeah. I have a
because
folder on the ground beside me here with just pictures of dogs, so that I can
yeah.
start doing some study drawings.
And that's the thing is like there's so many different breeds of dogs. And are you gonna, if it's an anthropomorphic dog, is it gonna have 4 fingers or five? Like there's like so many different things. Definitely
Exactly.
also look at black sad. Are you familiar with black sad?
Sounds familiar.
It is I want to say it is a Spanish French comic, but Dark Horse puts it out. It is about an anthropomorphic cat named John Blacksad, who is a detective. The artwork is stunning, but all the animals are anthropomorphic. And you should definitely take a look at that too. I want to say there's 3 volumes that are out, but they're definitely there. I believe they're on Comixology. And yeah, and they come up from Dark Horse. So
Awesome. I'll have to look that up as well. I've been paying a lot of attention to Grumble. By
yes,
Yeah, we did an episode on that
but
a couple of episodes ago, and I just was reading the latest one
Rafer
last
and
night.
Mike,
Yeah,
yeah, they're
and
good guys.
I love Mike's work drawing dogs, whether they're humanoid or non-humanoid. 'Cause I found Mike through Battle Pug originally.
Yes, actually, that the Hawk Girl Rogue piece behind me is Mike's
Ah,
piece
cool.
that he did for me. He was at one of the I had known Mike online, but I had met him in person at one of the London conventions a couple of years ago. And I said to him, I was like, "Hey, I want a commission." I was like, "Look, if I pay you in American dollars, can I get a break?" So yeah, so he did that Rogue Hawk Girl commission for me. But yeah, Mike and Rafer are great, and I think Rumble's a great story, and Battle Pug is just so great.
Yeah,
I
and
love that.
I think there's a new volume of Battle Pug coming out, if I remember rightly.
Huh?
I
I'm
think I
gonna
saw
have
something
to.
about that on Twitter the other day. It got me excited.
I'm gonna have to send him a note, find out if I can get a couple PDFs sent to me. Hmm.
Yeah, oh, that reminds me. I got a PDF sent to me of I Walk with Monsters. So I have to
Awesome.
sit down and read that because I want to talk about that on the show real soon.
Very cool. But thank you so much, Sean, for having me. I know this was like a little back and forth about like how we could, because time zones are
Yeah,
weird.
time zones are weird.
Uh, Time zones are very weird. But I do appreciate you taking the time to work with me and figure this out, because
No,
this
I
was a lot of
appreciate
fun.
it
And
too.
I hate Fairyland is a hell of a book, and
It
everybody
is.
needs to be
It
reading
is.
it.
It's really fun, and I've been really looking forward to having you on the show, so I was happy to work on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there are a few people who are like high on my list of must have on the show, and for all of you that are, I will work on a time.
Because I didn't want to make it too early for you. I mean, I felt bad, because,
No, see, we usually do 10 a.m. on a Friday for the live shows.
okay.
Yeah, so
So
like
that
this,
works.
yeah, this is the time. that I normally do it. So
That works.
that yeah, that
Okay.
works out really good. All right. Well, I'm going to link all of the links that we've discussed to the different classes and the different comics and YouTubes in the comments below for all of you that are watching. I will link Erica's social details below, and go follow Erica. Follow me. You can find me at Sean Sunday Art on all socials. If you're an Australian illustrator, please hit my link tree and join the Australian Illustrators Discord, because there are only a few of us in there right now, and I want to bring us all together so we can really push Australian comics and Australian illustration out into the world a little more strongly. We're all a bit scattered right now.
Well, that's the thing is building these communities is so important. It really is important, especially for like indie comics illustrators and indie comics creators. So definitely join the Discord. Do that thing.
Awesome. And we will see you all next week for the new live episode on Friday with Adam Markowitz. We're talking about Money Shot.
From Vault Comics. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that's going to be the one. So I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you again, Erica. Thank you again, everyone
Thank
that's
you,
been
Sean.
watching. I'm going to head off for now, and we'll see you for the next episode of No Capes.